Thanks everybody for joining. We are here today. I'm Michael Waite from Red Hat with another edition of the OpenShift Commons Briefings Operator Hours. And today we are fortunate enough to have with us Ravish Dewan from Joget. Ravish is the president and CEO of the company. How are you today, Ravish?
Hi, Mike. How are you doing?
Thanks for coming. I know that we turn this one around in just a couple of weeks, so we're really happy to have you here today talking to us. What are you going to be talking to us about?
I was just going to talk about Joget as a company, what we are doing, and how we are partnering with Red Hat OpenShift. It's a great platform, and here to share some stories.
That sounds good. So, Joget, how'd the company found? Wasn't it in 2009? I think, right? It was just a SourceForge project, and then you guys productized it. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So we started back in 2009, Mike. At the time, there was a lot of buzz around workflow and VPM and automation, and we started as a open source workflow platform. And then, as the time passed by, we were developing the open source for workflow. And somewhere around 2014, we pivoted on being a low-code platform. We were trying to do a lot of things visually without, writing code if we can. And there came this whole concept of low-code platforms and citizen developers, and we pivoted on that. So today we are a low-code platform. A lot of things can be done visually, building a process, building an application fast, and we are now working as a low-code platform.
Okay, and you guys are headquartered in Maryland, is that right?
That is correct, Columbia, Maryland.
But you must have other offices. I think I saw some in Malaysia and China.
Yeah.
What you guys globally distributed?
Yes, we have a global presence now. We have an office in Maryland, Colombia, Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur. We have an office in China. We have an office in Indonesia as well.
I mean, we hear it all the time, low code, no code. I've been talking with you at various different events and trade shows for years. You seem to be, the main cheerleader for this. So let's talk about what it is. What does it do? How do people use it? Let's go.
So, my low-code platform, and I would say the acceleration of digital transformation is what is going on right now. And we observe that there are not enough either developers available to do the application development and go through that full process, or business does not have enough time to go through sharing all that they want to do with the developers, and are in the need of getting these things done much faster than what we have traditionally been doing. And also from industry trend standpoint, if you look at Gartner's prediction, Gartner recently released their future predictions next 5 years, and they're saying by 2024 every large organization will have 3 to 4 low-code platforms within their company use. Now that's a big statement. The reason is because everyone wants to do things faster, and as you do the knowledge transfer from business to IT and all, and to deliver the application, it takes time. And what low-code platforms are really enabling is enabling the citizen developer or the business user to be able to build the applications for themselves and configure them and move fast. And this market is maturing every day and speeding up the application development process.
But is faster always better? I mean, what about, how do you deal with QA, release engineering? I mean, just cranking things out faster, doesn't that cause problems and introduce risk in other places?
That's a very good question, Mike. And I'll share this with you. And we do, caution our customers as well that if you try to automate a process, you get an automated process, right? You can go faster. But if you automate a mess, you get an automated mess. that becomes difficult to handle as well. So it's not necessary that fast is always good. It has to be done with caution and with governance in place. And the customers, what we have seen is the customers who have implemented that governance in place ahead of time are able to do things much faster with better quality and really good business outcomes. We have customers we have a really good manufacturing customer in Canada that has implemented Joget with literally no developers, but they followed the process internally and they're able to do really, interesting apps today, within the organization and much faster.
And I know you know this, but I'll remind this for all the people who are watching as well, that we're streaming this live. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook Live and Twitch Live. If anyone has any questions for Ravish, please post them in the chat and we'll make sure that we work them in as we go forward here. So, Joget, it's kind of an interesting name. Red Hat, everyone's like, well, it's a red hat. I don't really know what a Joget is. So how did you guys come up with the name Joget? What does it mean? Tell me about that.
Yeah. So Joget is a Malaysian term, and this whole journey started back in Malaysia when we started the open source project. And Joget means in Malaysian terms dance, the traditional folk dance. And team was debating what should we name this. And the whole intent was, as we are talking about process automation and creating this whole complex business processes or automating business processes, it requires a lot of coordination across the enterprise, right? And the whole idea was to depict that that coordination, that multiple teams working together, just like what happens in the dance. You need a lot of coordination with the team members to deliver an experience, and that's exactly what we meant when we named Joget. Coordination across various teams, multiple business units or IT departments to build and deliver complex business applications. It's kind of a dance within the organization as well, and that's what the Joget name represents.
Okay, and you, I think you've changed the logo a couple of times, right?
Yeah. So I think that's you're right. We changed the logo. I think back in 2019, we released the new logo to really align ourselves better from market standpoint. But if you look at the core, still remains the same. We wanted to make it a little more bold with what we are doing now. We have not been a company that captures your email and floods you with the marketing stuff, but rather bold in the sense that we are able to deliver really large applications, applications of the scale of ERP now using the low-code platform. And that's what we wanted to represent in our new logo, if you will.
Okay. So what about Ravish Dewan, President and CEO? Where have you been? I'm guessing this probably isn't your first gig. Where'd you come from? What made you decide to become the president of the company?
Yeah. So Michael, we just going back. I come from India, and I started my career as a startup itself back in India. It was those .com days, and back in I would say late 90s or mid 90s, I launched a company in CAD/CAM, and then got into this whole .com stuff and released a city portal back in 1999, and I got a chance to become a young entrepreneur at that time, and eventually I came to I left that venture and came to US on I worked for a Infosys consulting company, large consulting company of India, one of the top ones, and had a chance to get experience here in United States, working with customers, really understanding what means important to them. And while I was doing this, I was also exploring the open source space. That's where I found Joget very interesting and had a chance to, work on an advisory basis. If you look at my experience, I've been on the other side of the table all the time, consuming the products. Spent a lot of time in the industry, working with large companies like not Western Mutual or Nationwide Insurance, and then Blue Cross Blue Shield. So I spent a lot of my stint in licensing these products and implementing these products as a customer. And there came a time when I realized that there is a lot of expense that is happening on the customer side that can be optimized, and there should be a better way to do these things. And I joined Joget to take it to the next level. I felt that it is in the right marketplace right now, and it is the right time to create that wave in low-code platform and change how we do application development. And not just change how we do application development, even from infrastructure standpoint, looking at some of these newer, cooler technologies like AI, machine learning, and then containers. All this is changing how we were doing application development earlier. And I felt bringing this all together would be a really good game changer. And it is now in the industry, if you will, if you look at it, going from no infrastructure to a completely, full-fledged application has been super accelerated now. And that's what drives my passion in Joget.
Okay. So what about Joget and Red Hat? I've been around a long time. I've known you for years. It seems like you folks are everywhere with us. We're at events together. You folks have a Red Hat certified operator that's in our operator catalog. You have a presence in the Red Hat marketplace, so there's a commercial opportunity there for customers to actually consume Joget from the Red Hat marketplace. How has the Red Hat partnership been working with you?
Yeah, that's a good question, Mike. And let me just take a step back and talk about what is happening in the industry that we observe as Joget, and then we'll come back to the question. If you look at the industry, there is a lot going on from cloud migration, and all of a sudden, this whole COVID thing has accelerated the digital transformation for our customers. And what is happening is, in order to get to the cloud, in order to get to the cloud native applications, customers are looking at how they can move their existing stuff, how they can rewrite their existing stuff and all, and how can they get rid of their legacy application and be more cloud native. So there is this trend going on. The other trend that is going on is everyone is talking about AI. You pick any software, they are talking about AI. We are not an AI company. I do want to highlight that. But we do see an opportunity wherein there are plenty of AI engines. I've been talking to a company called Conversion, wherein we are exploring the partnership to create the document ingestion. There is another company for credit scoring, another company on the clinical healthcare. So there are various AI engines that are available, and customers, when they consume that engine, they need to create the applications around it. So there is another trend going on. Then there is obviously containers that is completely changing how you develop and deploy applications. If we look at all three ends, we want to do the same for our customers. And I felt that Red Hat Marketplace was an extremely great strategy from hybrid cloud, if you will. I want to do it on-prem today, and then I want to take it on the cloud tomorrow, or vice versa. This whole Red Hat Marketplace model gives the customer ability to do what they want or what they are willing to do, and also enable them for future. You want to be on-prem and on cloud today, and then move everything to the cloud tomorrow. You can do that. And I think riding on that wave, with Red Hat Marketplace and with Red Hat as a partner would be a great position to be in. We are enabling any of our Red Hat, customers or Joget customers to be able to go to the marketplace. They can directly license Joget from Red Hat Marketplace itself. And when you do that, that's where the Joget operator comes into picture. You can quickly create those environments and be in the application development, releasing that business application very quickly, um, and building the applications very quickly. So I see that as a tremendous power to go from no infrastructure to a business application, really fast.
Were you folks an early adopter of containers when containers first really became, well, I guess mainstream version 2? Were you folks early adopters of that and said, yes, this is the future of application development, we got to containerize, or did you have to wait for customers to start saying, hey, where's your containers?
No, actually, we have been the early adopters, and I will explain. This is where we got an advantage also to move fast, Mike, because we already had the containerized Joget, and as we started the partnership with Joget, with Red Hat, the first thing was to get the container certified. Guess what? We already have a container, so it just took us 2 weeks to get through all that process, just because we were already thinking about what industry trends are going to be and how we can move fast in that space. And when you talk about Joget and OpenShift, the next thing came was the operator. Can I make it super easy for our customers to click and they have the environment up and running? Absolutely. That's where the operator was extremely helpful to do that for us. And here we are
And
today.
people can use Joget low code, no code without the operator, right? It's just it just makes it easier for managing a distributed cluster.
Yes, yes. You can use it Joget anywhere you want. I mean, on-prem, on cloud, on OpenShift, off of OpenShift. Let's say today you have a Joget environment, and this is something that we are recommending to our customers also. Look at the container environment, look at OpenShift also. So you get a huge, tremendous advantage when you do that. I'll just share an interesting story. We have a customer, large customer, who was building, had a need to build a very critical application on Joget, or very fast. They embarked on Joget. They finished the application within 4 weeks. So very quickly got with business, understood their requirements, enabled them. They developed the application in 4 weeks. Then they were going to deploy in that application in production, not realizing how fast they were moving on application. Their infrastructure took more than 1.5 months to get it established to really deploy Joget. So I was sharing our observation with that customer that you took way less time to develop the business application, and you took way more time to develop your infrastructure on which you are going to deploy Joget. You can accelerate all that and super accelerate all that with technologies like OpenShift and Joget operator and all that.
And presumably other platforms as well.
Absolutely.
Okay. And you're all open source. Your Joget's 100% open source, or is there parts that are, parts that aren't?
Good question, Mike. We are an open source. We have a community edition. Obviously, the enterprise edition is what has additional features from security, from enhanced capability to build applications, processes. We have an API builder baked into our enterprise version. So there are a number of capabilities in the enterprise version that are not available in community edition. But yes, community edition is absolutely free, open source. We have more than 11,000 community members who are participating in what we're doing from open source.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought you had something around like almost 12,000 community members. So that's a very, very active community around Joget.
Yes, yes. So, and we are looking at expanding that as we see the demand for low code applications increasing. And in fact, here is another interesting fact that I want to share. A lot of product companies are now looking at low code platforms like Joget to rebuild their own applications in low code platform, because there is a pent up demand on customizing their own software for each customer and that becomes a challenge every time when you're dealing with the product. And being on being on a low-code platform, it makes it very easy for them to make these changes, customization, and yet not break their bank from resources and application development standpoint. And we are seeing a lot of interesting requests that is coming to us as a partner request. We want to sunset our product and rather be on a low-code platform so we can move fast with our customers. And that's a very interesting, things that are happening in product space also.
So tell me about some of the customer cases that you see out there. Everyone has some spotlight stories to talk about. Can you share with us some of the coolest customer stories that you have?
Yeah, sure. So let me talk about not rather a customer, but we actually donated the software just because we felt that it would have been good for the not-for-profit. There is a not-for-profit called Doctors Without Borders, and they reached out to us. We want to use your platform, and the interesting thing was they had no engineer in there, and they wanted to build a lab management software for what they were doing. And they reached out to us. We thought, it's for a good cause. Let's go ahead and do that. And we, extended the Joget license at no cost. And to our surprise, they actually developed the whole application without even our help. And I was kind of amazed to see how this is where we feel that when we are building some of these things with a goal in mindset that a citizen developer should be able to build the applications and be able to roll that out in production. This is a perfect example of one of our customers or users of Joget had no training, no exposure to they just looked at the knowledge base, started building the lab application management, and they recently came back. We want to extend it to for others sites as well. Very interesting to see how they used Joget and very quickly created that application for themselves. So this was very interesting. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Is there any site out there that Joget is targeted more than others? Like, some companies are very vertically aligned, around financial services or telco. I'm guessing, given that you target developers looking to build code faster and better, that it's applicable to every developer building in any application anywhere in the world, regardless of what type of business they're in.
You are absolutely right, Mike. We are not focused on a particular vertical. We have customers across all verticals: manufacturing, healthcare, banking, education, aerospace, government. So all sorts of customers are there. In fact, another interesting story I want to share is one of our customers is Orange County, California. And they, again, a similar story. They bought Joget. They started working on it. And within 3 months, they were overloaded with what they were doing from their regular business processes. And within 3 or 4 months of application development, on Joget and releasing their internal processes, on automating their processes on Joget, they went from like a 8-people team to a 4-people team. Very, very short time frame, and they were able to do this fast, in a very, very short time frame. Again, without any particular assistance or any particular formal, training, they were able to do it on their own. It's a great example that gives us satisfaction that we are building software and trying to implement those citizen developer principles so they can do it fast themselves as well.
Okay, and if someone wasn't going to use Joget, what is it roll your own, or are you the only company out there that does what you do, or how, if there are more low-code, no-code platforms, how do you differentiate yourself from them?
Yeah, so excellent question. There are plenty in the market, and there are plenty popping up as well. I will not deny that. But one thing that we, as a principle that we have implemented in Joget, is harnessing, or I would say, implementing the open source thought process. We did not want Joget to be restrictive. And when we say open source, what it means is there is a very strong plugin architecture that we have built. So any new piece that we want to roll out, we can easily create, or even our customers, and this is something that our customers have done a lot as well, create their own plugins in Joget. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you have a very specific way of creating a screen and a widget that you want, and you want to use that as an enterprise across various groups. Instead of creating a reusable code, we extend the Joget platform. They can extend the Joget platform themselves and create plugins around it, and that enables them to, take that Joget capability to the next level within their organization, and that brings in a interesting way to extend Joget. We see that happening all the time. A number of our customers, request this feature would be great, that feature would be great, but when they learn that, oh, you know what, we have the power to extend that and create that feature for ourselves, it gives a very different, outlook to what we are doing, with our low-code platform, and that's what we are striving for right now. We have released, in fact, with Joget DX, we have released some major capability like, API building. You can, as you are creating business applications, you want to integrate that within your organization as well. No business application is going to sit in a silo and not interact with multiple existing applications in the enterprise. So we have released a API, builder within Joget. You can create APIs around the applications that you have built or processes that you have built in Joget. And
that was in March of this year, wasn't it? Just before everything changed.
That is correct.
I think I was reading an article. It was back on early March, but I got confused there because you were talking about your artificial intelligence and application performance management, and I was like, well, geez, I don't think they're an AI vendor. I think they probably just enable better AI development. Is that right?
That is correct. And just to give a little insight to that, let's say, example, you have developed a TensorFlow, model in your AI. Let's say for image matching. I'm just giving an example, right? And in fact, there is a blog on OpenShift, how Red Hat OpenShift and Joget and TensorFlow you can utilize. So assume you are an AI company and you've created your model in TensorFlow. Currently we have a plugin in Joget for TensorFlow. We are looking at other AI engines as well, but we have a plugin in TensorFlow. You upload your model, you configure your inputs and outputs, and you can get an application around it very quickly. So that's the goal that we are targeting. We don't want to be an AI vendor. We are not an AI vendor, but what we are is give you the base capability and the infrastructure to build your application on the model that you have built in AI space. Now, there is always an API integration that you can do with any AI engine today, but we are trying to see how we can bake that into a out-of-box capability, and that's where the AI things come into picture. You mentioned about the application monitoring, so just putting my experience hat on, I've built a lot of large systems in various large organizations, and one of the things that really hits you hard always is performance. User wants everything fast. When you are building these screens or building the application, user experience is important, and response time is very, very important. And I face various challenges using a number of large softwares to build these applications. And the moment you hit this performance in production, it becomes a huge blocker, if you will. And keeping that in mind, we built the application performance monitoring piece within Joget as a capability out of the box. The idea was anyone who wants to build an application in Joget, they can get a performance dashboard out of the box without making any specific instrumentation. You can we create this performance dashboard for you to look at what are your transaction response times, if you want to establish alerts, something going slow. So this capability enables our customers to monitor their apps in production. In fact, we have another interesting capability related to performance monitoring, which is the performance analyzer. So when you're building an app, when a non-coder or a non-developer is building an app, or so-called citizen developer is building an application, they won't realize, drag and drop and put an image here, realizing that image is actually slowing down their application, right? So these performance analyzers, you establish a threshold and you can see how your screen performance is going to be ahead of time. And that gives a really easy way for non-coders also to look at what they're building and is it going to be efficient in production, if you will.
So is that, not to wrap, but there's lots of vendors out there that deliver APM, application performance management monitoring. I think we all know who they are. Does this mean then that if a customer uses the Joget low-code, no-code platform as a Red Hat certified operator for OpenShift, that they don't need other APM vendors?
I would not say that, Mike, because if their application, those APM vendors go horizontal. The APM functionality that we have is within Joget and Joget applications. And yes, it covers the APIs that you're calling externally or the database that you're calling externally. But in an organization, there might be multiple applications, some in Joget, some not in Joget, or a legacy application. And you want to look at horizontally across applications, you definitely need those APM tools. So there is absolutely that their need exists. But this is more specific to how a non-coder, you cannot expect a non-coder or citizen developer to go into some of these APM tools and make sense out of it. It's these are complicated tools and these are not simple tools to use. But a non-coder can take a look at his screen and see, there is this portion of the screen is highlighted. It's going to take 3 seconds to render. That's something that they can easily understand. And our intent with APM is to make it easy for them to look at. And they can always configure an API and see, oh, this API is slowing me down, that's it. But the detailed, horizontal monitoring, if you will, that's definitely those APM tools can have.
Okay, well, that covers the APM and the AI questions that I had. There was one other piece that came out in the announcement, which was around the progressive web apps in Joget DX. What's that all about?
Yes.
And why should people care about progressive web apps? Excellent
question, Mike. If you, again, looking at the industry trends, we are, we don't have any crystal ball, with us. What we are doing is what we are observing from our customers or listening to our customers. Progressive web apps are the new ways of, looking at the web applications, if you will. Progressive web apps is like giving some of the offline capabilities, your ability for notification. So I don't need to rely on native apps. There is a whole debate going on, will native apps live or things will be more of progressive web apps on your devices, on your browsers, so on and so forth. And we felt that is another essential element from Joget's standpoint. So within our product, Joget DX, which is on Red Hat Marketplace as well, any application you create using Joget, drag and drop, you are creating a progressive web app for yourself. We have a push notification mechanism that you can enable, a little bit of offline functionality that you get out of the box when you are using, Joget. So these are some common needs from our customers and a direction that industry is driving towards. So we bake that in as a capability in our product. And now, if you are creating a Joget application, it is enabled for mobile, it is enabled for web, and it has those PWA capabilities baked in as well.
So you said, based on the direction that the industry is driving towards, how much do you think things are going to change? I mean, there's been a lot of change in the way apps are built. Certainly, in the 19 years that I've been here at Red Hat, or maybe it's 20 now, but something like that. It was Linux and applications built with C, and then there was middleware layers, and then there was virtualization with VMware and other vendors, and then there was the disruptive change of OpenStack, and OpenStack was the shiny object, and then they were no, now it's containers are the shiny object, and you don't need VMs anymore. Then there's Kubernetes and orchestration of container platforms and operators. Is this going to just keep on going like this? And how are you folks positioned to be able to, change with the times?
Yeah. So I think one of the things that that's an excellent question, Mike, and we get that a lot. I build application on Joget, and the technology changes, then what, right? You think about we were doing without containers earlier, and now we have thought through for our customers and enabled the container for them. Essentially, what we are trying to do as a goal from Joget's standpoint is enabling our customer for future-proof applications. We don't know today. Everyone is talking about the cloud. Tomorrow there is a change in direction. Deploy somewhere else. Don't know. But what we are trying to do is, how can I enable the customer to future-proof their application? If they did not have a PWA capability and they want a PWA capability, if they were using Joget yesterday and they are using today and they upgrade to DX, they get those capabilities, from Joget's standpoint. And we want to be ahead, of our customer needs, if you will, to give them or enable them for future applications as well. That's what we are. Now, to your question about, do you think it will keep changing? Absolutely, it will keep changing. But the need for customer will remain exactly the same. I want to do this fast. I want to do it quickly, and I want to deploy it quickly and get the business value out of it. That basic demand will remain every single time. Our means to how we deliver that will keep changing. And it is going to be our duty to ensure that we are trying to be ahead in that adoption for our platform, so we can enable our customers to do the same and do that heavy lifting for them.
So let's just pretend for a second that public cloud, multi-cloud doesn't become the end-all platform or the way that apps are built and apps are consumed. What if everything reverted back to the data center in a couple of years because of, space aliens? Who knows? Does that take away any of the advantages that Joget can and the benefits that Joget can provide to people building apps if it's just back in the data center? How much of applications moving to the cloud is enabling the need for your solutions?
Yeah, actually, Mike, we are already ready for that. Whether you want to do it on cloud today and move it to on-prem tomorrow, or you start with on-prem and move it to cloud, we are already ready for that. That's the reason you will find all sorts of images across various cloud platforms from Joget already out there. And our customers are doing it. Some of the customers start with the trial on our cloud, and then they say, we are going to be building a sensitive application and we want them that on-prem. They do that even today. So I don't think we have to wait for that those things are happening. Depending upon the customer need, whether you want to be on the cloud, on-prem, in containers, on all sorts of various platforms, we want to be able to cater to you, as simple as that. And we want to do it now, not in future. The future, it will become a demand rather than a want to do this. And we want to be ahead of that right now. So if you have a Joget application today on-prem, you can easily go to cloud or vice versa. There is no, the fluidity is in both the ways. And this is where I see value for Red Hat hybrid cloud that marketplace is enabling. And just quickly, one more thing I wanted to mention on the Red Hat marketplace. This is where it fascinates me and excites me to partner with Red Hat also is managing software as assets within any organization, it's a nightmare. It is absolutely nightmare. If you go to any large organization, do you know what licenses you have bought? Do you know what you have bought? And is there a, even though there are CMDBs and all sorts of solutions, very, very difficult to keep track of. And I believe, the customers who are aligned with the Red Hat Marketplace and start their licensing there, it will be a very structured way of managing their software inventory also. And the more they utilize or the more they consolidate, the better it's going to be for them. It is not an easy job, and there is a lot of wastage that happens today. A number of organizations don't even know they have these software assets and licenses that they're paying for. And that's what happens in every single large organization.
And just going back to the build it once, deploy anywhere, that's our story as well, with OpenShift being the layer of abstraction. So if you build your app for OpenShift, you get to deploy, this cloud, that cloud, on premise, in a hybrid model, without having to rebuild it every time. What do you think is going to win? Who's going to win? So all these cloud vendors have a Kubernetes strategy. Who do you think's got it right?
Yeah. Got it right is yet to be answered, if you will. And yes, all the cloud providers have the Kubernetes strategy and all. I think if you look at from my vantage point, and I have been in customers' shoes for a very long time, Mike, I think the flexibility will be one that will win the game. If my strategy is going to be driving me towards only one cloud, I see that as a problem. And
that's vendor lock-in in the cloud.
Exactly.
Right?
So I think the strategy that enables the customer fluidity in what they want to do and how much they want to be fluid in on which cloud, I think that's something that is going to be valuable. Other than that, don't have any crystal ball with me. But if I am on a customer end or a consuming end, these will be my decision parameters. What kind of flexibility can I get? How soon can I move these things if I need to? From one cloud to another cloud, and also on-prem. And I think these are the guiding principles for us as Joget also. I want to be able to give the same flexibility to our customers as well. Hence, very strong alignment with OpenShift that I'm looking at.
So when people are using your solution, and let's just say that there's some cloud vendors out there that are doing everything they possibly can to create as much proprietary lock-in to their platform as possible, and they're building apps using Joget, and they're running on this platform, and then at some point they decide, we're getting oracled all over again. I can't have this. I'm gonna move to that platform and a hybrid model with part data center. There's absolutely no rebuilding of anything as long as the apps were built using your functionality.
Yeah.
It's just they can just pick it up and move it, and there's no I don't even know if recompiling is still a word anymore. But
yeah, I think all the vendors should think about that, quite frankly, Mike, and that's something that drives me as well from application perspective. If we create something that sticks on only one and limits the customers tomorrow, it's going to be a challenge, and it's a risk also. I mean, if you look at some of the large applications that I build and I get logged on, it's a risk as well, from operations perspective, so on and so forth. So I think that flexibility is critical, and all this whole fight is towards cloud is obviously creating the flexibility and all, but it all boils down to the bottom line as well. So if today I have, just think about a scenario wherein I have the application that is fluid. I want to go on cloud A, cloud B, cloud C. The bottom line is going to be the cost also tomorrow. If I am getting that same flexibility across all these clouds, then my success is going to be ability to move from one cloud to another cloud that is giving me an efficient or cost efficiency as well. And that's where it boils down. Today, if I start with one cloud and I build all the strategy around that cloud, and tomorrow I see, what, they came up with the newer ways of making things cheaper, and this cloud is better, and I'm stuck there. I'm logged in, just like I'm logged in today on-prem. So that's something that I feel is a fundamental element to look at to ensure customers keep that insight. They can start with one cloud, but they should think about multi-cloud strategy anyways. And that's where the hybrid cloud, if you will, comes into picture.
Well, I kind of feel like I have been just bombarding you here with my my questions, trying to get as much information out of you. How are you folks dealing now with the way things are? So, as I said, I've been with you in San Diego. I'm sure we bumped into each other at the KubeCon conventions in Copenhagen, and Amsterdam, of course, as we know, didn't actually happen in person. But what are you folks planning for going forward, and how are you going to be driving market visibility for Joget going forward, given that everything is virtual?
Yeah, actually, in fact, just a plug-in here, Mike. We are actually planning for a deeper conversation with industry analysts regarding this whole hybrid cloud and Joget and how it can work together. But just taking a step back with what has happened with this whole pandemic and COVID, and we observe that customers really require empathy as well. They are in a very tough position as well, and a lot of our customers reached out to us regarding they have this whole bring their workforce back and so on and so forth. And again, just sharing another customer, as I mentioned, back in Canada, they wanted to get their manufacturing customer. They wanted to get their employees back, and we listened to them and helped them roll out a very quick application on Joget, and realize that not just them, all the customers would want to do that. So we have started releasing a few applications like temperature scanning application, travel advisory, absolutely free. Go to Joget Marketplace, download that, and just go live with those applications. And best part is, you can download and change them based on your needs. There is a customer, employee temperature tracking app. If you want to automate that, I mean, you can create, all your employees there. It issues a QR code. Anyone coming in, stick that QR code on, track their temperatures very, very quickly to be able to, help our customers that are in need to bring their workforce back. Or, if their workforce is back, they want to implement some processes where they want to, track some of these things. We have tried to, create those applications and roll that out absolutely free of cost on our marketplace. So that's something that we are doing. From future standpoint, I think it is going to be, world has changed, as simple as that. The new normal is absolutely different than what we were in earlier. And there is a very interesting study that was released by Forrester. I think it was back in June, May or June, that talks about, even though a lot of organizations thought they had their processes automated, they didn't realize there are a number of steps that were still manual in nature. And that amounts to 70% of the organization will still have to further automate what they have done. And that's an interesting number to look at. And when you're talking about the paper processes and all, it becomes absolutely essential now to automate that. And we are seeing that demand right now on our end as well. Customers are just coming back and saying that we were having this paper process. I'm going to go online, make it completely automated. Customers can directly interact with our processes. We see that demand, and we are hoping that we will be able to support that demand, or cater to that demand.
That's a good thing. So you've been on our show. We've been talking about who your company is, what your low-code, no-code solution works, how you have a Red Hat certified operator, or OpenShift. It's available in the marketplace. We haven't done a demo or any technical, in the weeds. Let me show you how to edit this config file and while I look at the impact on the outcome. If someone wants to have that type of workshop, do you folks make those available? Are there deep dive technical presentations that you folks put on so someone who's interested can actually, log on and actually get their hands dirty, so to speak?
Yes, absolutely. So we have plenty of resources on YouTube, on our website, on on actually OpenShift blogs as well. So plenty of tutorials available. Plenty of we do webinars. We do deeper webinars wherein we show how to build the applications. There is a really nice video to look at OpenShift and Joget. You will start with the OpenShift cluster and you want to build an application and boom, 15 minutes. In fact, we did a webinar back in September, Mike, regarding with a demo how you can in 15 minutes how you can go from no infrastructure to a full-fledged application that has a business process behind it, so on and so forth. So yeah, we do plenty of webinars. There are plenty of resources available on OpenShift and Joget. On the Reddit marketplace as well, there are a bunch of tutorials that we have rolled out. So plenty of resources.
I wonder if someone on the Red Hat team on the call here could post the link to that webinar that we did, because it was on the devops.com site. So hopefully one of the team staffers can go to the on-demand site and pull that webinar up and drop it in the link here. I remember that was pretty good. That was a little bit lower than my pay grade or above my pay grade, but I know that the technical people on the call found it really interesting and very helpful. So hopefully that will pop up here shortly in the chat for people. So we're getting close to the end of the hour. What I don't want is for you to hang up and you say, gosh, I had an entire hour to address much of the world on mainstream media. Why didn't I say X?
Yeah, so I wanted to keep this for the last, Mike. We are actually announcing a Tech for Humanity program within Joget. The intent of that program is going to be, we see this whole tight financial environment that COVID has created. We see a need to help a lot of our not-for-profit organizations. So what we are doing is we are rolling out a Tech for Humanity program within Joget that will enable our customers, anyone who is a Joget customer will be able to donate a Joget license to their choice of charity or a not-for-profit that they believe in. And I think that that's our way to look at, this whole world from a very different eyes, wherein we all need to help each other, as simple as that. And I believe, and the other reason is these not-for-profits may not have, application developers or to automate their business processes, right? So,
right.
With Joget, they will be able to do it fast. They will be able to do it easily. Plenty of resources available online to learn Joget. You don't need a sophisticated knowledge to get started with Joget. Very easy to do, very easy to implement. We feel this is our way of giving back to the community and to the organizations that our customers believe in as well. So, just a quick thing I want to announce today, and that's something that we are launching, and hopefully our customers will be able to take benefit out of this program.
Well, that sounds pretty cool. Oh, and if people look in chat, you'll notice that one of our team linked the webinar that we did with Ravish and Joget. It was at the beginning of September, I think. Anyways, it's going to be on there online on the DevOps site, and we encourage you to join it. I think it was a very deep dive technical discussion with a lot of really cool features to it. I think we're just about out of time. I can't tell you how happy we are to have been here. You folks are a great partner of ours. Every event that we do, you're supporting us with press activities and having your Red Hat certified operator available for OpenShift and having, you know, your commercial offering in the marketplace, I think is really, really great. So always happy to invite you to participate with us, because you folks just never tell us, no, I can't, because it's always, yes, I can. And that's a really great thing to have, you know, with a partner. So Ravish Dewan, President and CEO of Joget, thank you for joining us here today on the OpenShift Commons briefings, our operator, our operator hours edition. Thanks so much, and we wish the best of luck to you going forward in the rest of the year.
Thank you very much, Mike, and we are pleased to be part of the Red Hat family as well. Thank you so much for all the support from Red Hat.
And actually, someone just popped a question in the chat. Where can we learn more about Joget?
Again, I would say
the company. You can learn more about the company by going to the company website. But where does, if someone wants to really, you know, get a trial of Joget, or, you know, kick the tires, or, you know, what's the best place to do that?
Yeah, easily, if you want to try Joget, you know, just go to jogetcloud.com. You can register for a free trial, 14 days. It won't even ask for credit card. And there is we have a knowledge base, dev.joget.org. Very easy. I mean, just search for Joget knowledge base, and you will get all sorts of information around Joget, how to do what. Go to YouTube, you know, just search for Joget, and you will be able to get a lot of how-to videos, how to get started with Joget, so on and so forth. So plenty of resources online to get started.
Well, if there's no other questions or helpful prompts coming in to the chat window, then I think we can give you a minute and a half back on your day, which is not something that happens very often.
Thank you very much, Mike.